It's a Farm Friday. Let's talk Los Angeles Dodgers and the fact that they only have like one lefty pitching prospect. That's weird, right? Like, it's not just me. That's weird to only have one in like your entire farm system. Okay, just checking.
You are Locked On MLB Prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On MLB Prospects, your home for all things minor league baseball. I'm your host, Lindsey Crosby, baseball writer for Sports Illustrated, and thank you for making this your first listen every single day. And as we do every Friday, it's a Farm Friday. We're going through the minor league organizations in order of organizational talent ranking. And today is the Dodgers. We start off in Single A with the Rancho Cucamonga Quakes. 67-53 last year, won their division but didn't make the playoffs because the way it worked is the two best records, they made the playoffs. So both teams from the other division made the playoffs and played each other. So no postseason for the Quakes. But 25-22 right now, 4 games back, and the big prospect here to talk about, like I mentioned in the cold open, is the only ranked lefty pitching prospect in this entire system, Maddox Bruns. So, first rounder in 2021, 29th overall, signed for just under $2.2 million. And really interesting, like one of those high upside but high risk prep arm signings, right? So, kid 6'2", 205, 4 different pitches. Has a fastball that sits 95. He can touch 97 with it. He gets good deception out of it. It's a plus pitch, okay? So it's good. The slider, lower to mid 80s, plus pitch. Really interesting angle. Kind of the same as the fastball with like this odd delivery that he has. So good angle there. And then a curveball, one of those like big arc curveballs. I think about not a player comp, but I think about Clayton Kershaw's curveball, how it's just like a big-bodied curveball. Flashes plush on that, and then he's got a changeup that I think is going to be probably average or so. But it's funny because he's got decent feel for these pitches, but like well below average control. Just cannot really throw strikes in any sort of reliably way, and so. That's the big issue here. He's got stuff, right? I mean, he's got velo, he's got good shape to his pitches. He just can't throw him for a strike when he has to. Right now, I mean, it's only 21 innings in the season, 35 strikeouts, 17 walks, 4.43 ERA. The Dodgers seem to think that they can do some stuff to bring his control to average, you know, whether it's working on his delivery, working on his timing, and things like that. But it's just throwing strikes is not a natural thing for him to do. And so I think he probably caps out as a number 3 arm in the rotation or so, given what he does and given the profile of his pitches. And obviously he's got some development here to do still. He was in high school last year, so, but he's just got to learn to throw strikes. And easier said than done. Like, there is a reason prep pitcher is the riskiest of draft profiles. But when you can find a big, tall lefty who can hit 97, you're going to draft that guy in the first round because if it works out, then holy cow, it works out. And maybe they're just nervous about having too many lefty pitchers because this one's so risky. Because that's it. Like, spoiler alert for the rest of the show, we're not talking lefty pitchers in this system. That was it. Maddox Bruns is all you got. But a lot of great players in this system and a lot of arms just happen to all be righties. We move from here and we go to high A, the Great Lakes Loons. I think a loon's a duck. Anyway, Midland, Michigan. So really far away from California. 2021, they were 63-57, so 2 games back. And then right now they're 26-21, which good record, 6 games back because high A is just on fire right now. This is Side note, we're going to do a show later in the season once these records stabilize a bit about the talent distribution because of COVID and what it did. We're going to do a whole show about that. But I think the high A is going to be a really competitive level this year because of where all the talent happens to be. But anyway, number one prospect in the system, catcher Diego Cartaya, is in there. IFA in 2018 out of Venezuela. 133 at-bats right now. 263, 413, 549. 9 home runs. And it's something where, he's been on the radar since he was like 10 years old. Like he was playing in tournaments on behalf of Venezuela as a kid. Signed on the very first day. Went to the Arizona League. So rookie ball. Did really well there. Went to the alternate training site. Struggled a little bit because he was so incredibly young. But since that, got to low A last year in late May because he had like an issue in his back. But hit 10 home runs in 31 games and then got strained a hamstring in July. And then when he was rehabbing, re-injured his back and he just got shut down for the year. So 20 years old, doesn't have a super long track record in professional baseball, but you kind of know what he is, or you know some of his traits because you've seen him play for so long. And in the sample sizes you've seen, he's done great. He's a physical force at the plate. He's a masher, very, very mature for his age. For being 20 years old, very good at recognizing and staying on a breaking ball, being able to pick up a pitch out of the hand, and then just catch up to premium velocity, can really stick with it. You can fool him still, which for a 20-year-old is not breaking news, but you can kind of fool him a bit if you give him a changeup kind of down and away or something that just is going to break down and away. You can get him a bit, but he's still going to be an above-average hitter. He's going to have plus power, and then defensively, he's a really good athlete. He's got plus arm strength, so he kind of shuts the run game down a bit. Needs to work on framing, and part of that, when you spend time in single A and they've got ABS, it doesn't help. So getting him in high A and letting him have the ability to actually work on framing, especially up, framing that high fastball, things like that, and then game calling, just something where as they're younger, you often don't see them do a lot. And he's an interesting his approach is shaped by the fact that he couldn't get home during the pandemic. And so he actually lived with the AAA manager in South Carolina. So very hard worker, picked up fluent English during that time. So speaks both English and Spanish very well. Very natural born leader. I think the things here are for Diego Cartaya. It's going to be, can he stay healthy? One, because he's had multiple back injuries now. And then can he work on some of the cleaning up some stuff defensively? If he can do that, he's going to be a franchise catcher. He's going to be he's going to be in contention for Gold Gloves. He's going to be in contention for All-Star games. So there's a reason he's the number one prospect in the system, even at this young of age. And it's because even though his professional baseball track record isn't long, his overall baseball track record is, and he's been great while doing it. A couple other guys at this level, just some position players. I'm looking at Eddie's Leonard, so middle infielder. Signed him for $200,000 at age 17. Lost 2020, had a full season in 2021, and just absolutely shot up the prospect list. Batted .296, 22 home runs, 81 RBIs. Finished second in the entire organization in OPS with a .929. Very, very elite bat speed. So probably his number one defining trait. Can get the barrel to the zone very, very quickly. Makes very loud, very hard contact. Always been a good fastball hitter, but last year started getting really well at kind of staying back on a right-handed slider. And because of his bat speed, he's got above average raw power. You saw him start to pull the ball a bit last year to to be able to put that raw power into games. Defensively, got to figure out what he's going to do. He's better at second than shortstop. I don't think he's a great second baseman. May have to move to center or something like that. Fringy to below average everywhere they've tried him in the infield so far. Speed is average, arm strength's average. Offensively, like, he's a special talent. Defensively, you've got to find a place to put him. He doesn't have the profile of a guy who would DH for you. Doesn't have the speed to be just a pure contact hitter. So you've got to find a home for him on the diamond. Thankfully, you got plenty of time to do that. A couple other, like a Jose Ramos is an interesting guy, but somebody who's lower down the prospect rankings, but a guy that I want to talk about is right-hand pitcher Carlos Duran. So 6'7", 230. Absolutely big boy. 2021 full season debut. It was, we're going to call it an adventure. It was an adventure. 5.25 ERA in 2021 across 18 starts, but struck out 109 guys. So there's talent there. You just kind of have to figure out how to, he gave up 9 home runs, walked 24 guys, gave up 81 hits. His whip was 1.4. So, you just kind of figure out, and it's something. He had a 4-seam fastball. It was getting destroyed. He swapped it out for a 2-seamer. It's got sink and run. It can get better. But the star here is, this is one of the best sliders in the entire minor leagues. And being so tall like he is, he gets a lot of great deception with it. It comes from such a high angle. And then to go along with that, it has a lot of late movement to it. And so he can make righties chase on it. It's going to dive down and away. So sinker, slider combo together, really good against righties. But platoon issues here. Changeup is significantly below average. So lefties can hit him. Like I said, the 4-seamer wasn't any good. And so he's got a 2-seamer. He's got a sinker. He's got to figure out a third pitch. The fact the slider is so good means, yes, he can be a reliever in the minors. But for him to start, he's got to figure out what that third pitch is going to be. And in just a minute, I want to get to the AA Tulsa Drillers. Great collection of talent here. Really excited to talk about them. But first, today's episode is brought to you by our friends at LinkedIn. With spring in the air, it's a time for renewal and growth, personally and professionally. As your small business grows, LinkedIn Jobs is here to make it easier to find the people you want to talk to faster and for free. You can create a free job post in minutes on LinkedIn Jobs to reach your network and beyond to the world's largest professional network of over 810 million people. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience, so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. And that's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs number 1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonmlb. That's linkedin.com/lockedonmlb to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. So, the AA Tulsa Drillers. Tulsa, Oklahoma, obviously. Last year, 63-57, so 6 games back. This year, 27-19, half a game back. All of these stats are as of Thursday morning. So, not counting in what they've played Thursday night. Tulsa may be in first place in the division by the time you listen to this, depending on what they did Thursday night. But great collection of talent here, and I think the highlight is number 2 overall prospect Bobby Miller. So 2020 first rounder and out of Louisville. And he was a guy in college that bounced back and forth between the rotation and the bullpen. Got 4 starts in 2020. Pandemic cancels the season. They took him. Sent him to the alternate site. He looked good. Sent him to instructionals. Looked good. And then finally made it to full season ball in 2021. Looked really good. Went all the way up to AA. Got hurt. Had an oblique strain. And then the pitch limit they put him on as far as ramping him up limited him to 50-something innings. But big boy. 6'5", 220. And just has a ton of weapons. So Four-seam fastball sits mid to upper 90s, touches 100. It's got a two-seamer that sits 95, 96. And the thing here is they have similar movement to them, and they can kind of blend in with one another. So he needs to differentiate them a little bit. But when he learns to do that, the four-seamer is going to be like a plus pitch for him, okay? And then to go along with that, he's got a pretty decent, like a high-spin slider. It's got some late break to it. He can get swings and misses with it. I like the curveball better. It's a tight spinning curveball. He can throw it for strikes. He pairs that with a changeup, harder changeup like a high 80s changeup. Has fade, has sink, can miss bats as well. I think it could be a plus pitch. He's gotten better with his delivery. It's a little more consistent now. So I figure his control's probably average now. The thing he has to work on is, one, showing that he can stay healthy, and then showing that he can maintain his endurance and conditioning. So 17 appearances in 2021, he only went 5 innings one time. And part of that is dealing with injuries, a lot of movement, things like that, but still, he's got to get a little bit deeper in the games. I mean, he has the stuff to be a number 2 or number 3. The question is, can he be healthy? Can he go deeper into games? Right now, 32 innings. He's 1-1 with a 4.6 ERA, 36 strikeouts to 9 walks. I've talked before about the wins don't matter. I mean, we don't care about that. We care about the process. So he's striking out a little bit less. He's striking guys out a little bit less than last year. He went from 13.5 strikeouts per 9 to 10.3. Walking guys a little bit more, 1.9 per 9 to 2.6 per 9. But pitching a little bit deeper, 8 games, 30 innings. So still only averaging 4 or so, but doing better, 9 walks, 36 strikeouts. Whip is lower, so he's overall allowing less guys to get on, and that's kind of what he has to do. And again, he just has to get a little deeper, but still the best fastball in the system. And a guy, if he can figure that out, he has all of the tools to be a starter, to be a very good starter. It's just a question of can he get the depth to go 5 or 6 innings. He needs to just get a little better there. Go along with him. There's a bunch of pitchers here. Landon Knack, 7 overall. Gavin Storr, 12 overall. Clayton Beater, 15th overall. A lot of guys. But there's a couple of outfielders here to kind of mention. First one is Andy Pages, number 6 overall prospect, 2018 IFA out of Cuba. And was going to be traded to the Angels, actually, in February 2020. And the owner of the Angels, Art Moreno, called it off. Worked out really well. Debuted in high A Great Lakes in 2021. Hit 31 home runs. Led all of led the division, like all of High A Central. Record for the franchise. Led the league in runs, 96. 539 slugging, 933 OPS. Was MVP of the High A Central League last year. So absolutely just destroys balls. Plus power. Very, very good at... So he's got holes in his swing, right? He's very vulnerable to fastballs up in the zone. We've talked on the show before. That's a thing that is becoming more and more common in baseball, is you're throwing the fastball less. You're throwing more breaking pitches. But when you throw the fastball, you're throwing the fastball... you're elevating it up in the zone. You're throwing it high. If you're good enough, you're throwing it high and in. So... with his ability to make adjustments and things like that, I think he's going to get to average as far as hitting. Keeps the strikeouts. The strikeouts are pretty good for a power hitting kind of guy. Walks enough where you're not going to be concerned there. But some of the issues he has, I mean, he's like off the field struggles with his weight a bit, and then running speed. He's kind of below average at speed, and then he mentally needs to focus a little better. So he runs into outs on the base paths because he'll try to go first and third and he shouldn't, or he'll try to steal and can't do it, take an extra base and he shouldn't. And then he's an inconsistent defender is the best way I've seen it put, because he doesn't necessarily focus on the defensive side of the game. So when he's focused in, average defender, arm is massive. Plus arm, he's just not very accurate with it. So he's a guy, tons of potential, and that's why he's at number 6, because he's got this power, he's got the arm. He just needs to improve some of the offensive stuff, closing some of the holes in his game, and then some of the mental stuff, and that's going to help with the defense and the base running. So just a little bit of struggles there. Like I said, quite a few pitchers here between a Landon Knack and a Gavin Stone and and a Clayton Beater. But there's an outfielder here, James Altman, 6'3", 215. Played for 3 years at Sacramento State, was actually a middle linebacker, and if you look at him, you can see that still. So 7th round pick by the Dodgers in 2018. So a little bit older for being in Double-A, but pretty decent center fielder. I mean, I think you could probably call him up now, and he would be a 4th outfielder for you. He's got almost plus speed. He can run down stuff in the gap pretty well. Good burst, good reads and routes and reactions in center. So useful talent there, plus runner on the base paths as well. Offensively, he has some power, but he kind of has to. They've been working on the kinetic chain, getting everything to line up, and he still has to cheat a bit to catch up to elite velo. But if he connects with a fastball, he can crush it. So the defense, the power, like I said, feels like he could be a 4th outfielder right now. He's hitting 283, 390, 550 over 180 at-bats, 11 home runs, 5 stolen bases. So you could call him up next time you have an injury in the outfield and he can play. You've seen Gavin Lux out there, obviously, to go along with Taylor and Bellinger and things like that, and Mookie Betts. Somebody gets hurt, he can step up in there if you don't want to use Lux. If you have Lux playing second while Muncie's on the IL. Versatility there, and a guy that feels like he's this close from having a breakout. We've seen those players that they've got all of these tools, and for some reason it doesn't come together, and then boom, something clicks. And James Altman feels like that guy that's this close to figuring it all out and putting it together. And in just a minute, I want to get to this AAA, the Oklahoma City Dodgers, and just some of the talent they have there, especially some of the high-level talent. But first, today's episode is brought to you by our friends at Built Online. We have been asking for this. Built finally delivered. We have Built granola bars. So, chocolate peanut butter, chocolate coconut, white chocolate berry. The 3 flavors they have right now. If you want to try those, you can get a mixed box at Built.com right now. They can do, obviously, granola bars loaded with granola, so you get the crunch and the chewiness. Packed with protein, just like everything else, covered 100% real chocolate. It's 150 calories, 15 grams of protein, 4 grams of sugar. So great healthy snack, throw in your bag, take on the road with you. And then you can combine those in a box with the bars, with the puffs. So whether you want a standard protein bar, you want a protein-infused marshmallow, you want a granola bar, they've got all those options. Again, the 3 flavors, chocolate peanut butter, chocolate coconut, and white chocolate berry. You gotta check these out. They're really good. So go to Built.com to get the mixed box now. While you're there, use promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off your order. That's promo code LOCKED15 at Built.com. So the AAA Oklahoma City Dodgers. Super original name, right? It's been a ton of different franchises. I get it. In 2021, 67-62, so 7.5 games back, and right now they're 29-21, and they're 1 game back off the lead. And again, that is through Thursday morning, so if they win Thursday night, they may be in the lead, they may be tied for the lead. But a lot of bigger prospects here, and guys that it feels like they're just kind of stashing guys here, waiting for someone at the big league level to have to miss some time to call these guys up. So you've got number 3 overall prospect in the system, Miguel Vargas. 2017 IFA out of Cuba, plays third base. And he's a guy, his dad is a Cuban baseball legend, so he kind of had a lot of kind of lineage there. But the years that he's been in this system, he hit 330, then 308, And then last year, 319 with 23 home runs and was third in the entire minors in hits. Right now, 187 at-bats. He's 289, 392, 476, so a little bit down from that. But he's also in AAA. He's using the big league baseballs. There's a possible little bit of that there. 7 home runs, 5 stolen bases. And so just a very, very natural hitter. And his dad was like that too. His dad won 2 Olympic gold medals in the 90s. But has the ability to keep the barrel of his bat in the zone an incredibly long time. And so it doesn't matter if you pitch him inside, outside, high, low, whatever. He can get to it. He can drive it. It's kind of natural to put it to the right center gap, but he started to pull pitches a little bit, and the power to his pull side ends up coming out to around above average. So definitely a plus hitter. He is. Doesn't strike out a lot. Power's going to grade at a above average probably. Defensively, that's kind of the question. So you hit a ball right at him, he's going to get it. But he doesn't have great range, doesn't have great mobility at third base, probably fringy right now. Arm is better than average, but not like a typical third baseman cannon you'd kind of want. The comp I see a lot for him is Yuli Gurriel, which I think is a really great comp, actually. Don't do comps on this show, but that's a good one, and somebody else did. It really feels like he is the short-term Justin Turner replacement. Now that Freddie Freeman's in LA for a while, which still feels weird to say, this is something where you may see him eventually end up moving to DH, simply if there's a better third baseman to come in and backfill. But could debut anytime, I think. And I think when he does, his hit tool is going to be great. He's going to be additive to the lineup. Right behind him, second baseman Michael Busch. So 2019 31st overall pick out of, I think it was NC State? No, North Carolina. Has missed a lot of time. So only got 10 games that year. He got hit by a pitch and broke his hand. Lost all of 2020. Finally debuted in 2021. Straight to Double-A. Got hit by a pitch on the right hand again. Messed him up for a month, but still finished among the leaders in the organization in every offensive category. So very disciplined, very hard contact. Not a long swing like Miguel Vargas, very kind of short and efficient swing. Drives the ball, very good at driving the ball back up the middle. He's developed above average power. And it's kind of all right up the middle in that left center to right center kind of range, just back up the middle there. I am worried he's not aggressive enough. So he can fall behind in counts, and obviously the difference in 2-1 and 1-2 is massive in a count. He too often would fall behind in the count. Showed some aggressiveness the end of last year. Hit 346 in the final month of the season. Went from first base in college to second base now. Can make all of the routine plays. Kind of limited on range. Kind of limited on his arm strength. But you've got the ability to shift and things like that right now. Obviously, if the shifts go away, that's going to dampen your enthusiasm a bit. But the comp that I don't do comps, but the comp that I have seen for him is very much hitting and defending, kind of like a Max Muncy. So if Max Muncy ends up missing prolonged time and you're using Gavin Lux somewhere else, Michael Busch is an option to get called up to play some second base. Again, you're going to lose probably a little bit of your defense if you do that, but offensively, he will make up for that. And then a guy you've kind of seen go back and forth between the big league level and AAA this year, number 5 prospect right-hand pitcher Ryan Pepiot. So 2019 third rounder out of Butler. Actually owns the single season and career strikeout records for the Butler Bulldogs. The big thing that got the organization believing in how good he was in 2020 during the second spring training, that summer camp, whatever you want to call it. In an outing, he strikes out Bellinger, Lux, and Matt Beatty. Boom, boom, boom. went to the alternate site, played well, went to Double-A for his debut. Well, second in the system in strikeouts with 127. Second in the system with walks with 47. So some good and some bad. Fastball is mid to upper 90s. Moves a lot to the arm side, a lot of run to it. Changeup is one of the best changeups in the system, if not in all of minor league baseball. A lot of late movement to it, vertical break. One of those changeups, you're going to see Pitching Ninja tweet about it. It's going to make dudes look foolish, okay? Slider is in the upper 80s. Really kind of a not as much movement, of a tighter slider. Could be average, but he can't quite control it very well. Curveball is kind of iffy. And then control as a whole is just kind of below average. And so for him, it's all a timing thing. Like, he has to stay consistent speed-wise through his delivery and keep his balance. And what happens is he'll rush to the delivery and he'll kind of drift out of that balance point. And when that happens, the outings end up being shorter because he can't command the fastball and the changeup, and he's either missing the plate or he's leaving everything middle. So if he can work on that delivery a bit, and you saw some of that when he got called up this year. If he can work on the delivery a bit, and it looks like he's done some of that. 32 innings this year, 1.72 ERA, 42 strikeouts, 13 walks, more than you'd love to see, but it's something where, worst case scenario, you can move him to the bullpen, towards the back half of the bullpen. I know you've got Gratterall and you've got Kimbrel and all that right now, but a guy you can put in the back half of the bullpen because that fastball changeup combo is so good. Would like to see him figure out that third pitch, get consistent with the delivery, be a number 3 or number 4 starter, but can absolutely play and contribute for you in the bullpen. Great week of shows. Great week of shows coming up next week. Really excited about this. If you have questions for the show, I'm on Twitter at Crosby Baseball. The show's on Twitter at Locked On Farm, or you can email us lockedonmlbprospects@gmail.com. Go out, watch some baseball this weekend. There's not only professional baseball and minor league baseball, college baseball is in the postseason. I'm going to be doing some draft scouting on Friday morning. I'm watching, by the time you listen to this probably, I'm watching UCLA versus Florida State. We get Parker Messick versus Max Radjic, two guys who are expected to go pretty early in the draft in July. Excited to get some of that in. Talk about that next week on a mock draft show. And speaking of that, we have our Locked On mock draft next Tuesday. Me and Jeff from Locked On Guardians are alternating making our picks. That'll be next Tuesday on the show. So stay tuned for that. But until then, this has been Locked On MLB Prospects.